because you're going to have highs and lows, and it's not going to be about the money. Sometimes the money will not be there. Sometimes the passion will fail. So you need to be sure within you that this is it.
Adedoyin Balogun is more than a tailor. He's a fashionpreneur reshaping Africa's luxury landscape. As the force behind Baldon Clothiers, he's built a brand that delivers precision tailoring, executive accessories, and timeless style for Nigeria's elite. With an eye for detail, a flair for strategy, and a commitment to excellence, Balogun represents the fusion of African craftsmanship.
People see successful fashion designers and say they are doing money laundering. What do you have to say to that?
Let us do the maths. We have 200 million people. And out of that 200 million people, we are privileged to serve 5,000 of them. And out of the 5,000, on a monthly, we are able to service 500 of them. 500 of them, they are able to do an average spend of, let's say, 500,000. What does that give you?
That's 50 million.
That's a no.
Let's times it by 12. That's 3 billion. Do you think it's possible for Africa to contest like those kind of global brands? What will it take for us to have that kind of global expression?
You need skill. You travel abroad, you go to Zara and you pick up your size and you walk away. You have implicit faith that it will fit you. You go to a tailor who has the benefit of seeing you physically. He's measured you. He's made you do some exercises. Bend, raise your hand, stoop down. 3 weeks after disappointing you, you finally come and your outfit doesn't fit. Bitter customer experience.
There was a time where we didn't really embrace our cultural attires as much. Then all of a sudden, it's picked up. How did that evolution also evolve with business?
A lot of people don't know that there's a nexus between fashion and democracy. Why do I say that?
Guys, thank you very much for joining us on this episode. On this episode, I get to sit down with someone that I've just been looking up to, seeing his journey evolve. I think something that has quite caught my attention is not just his obsession with excellence, but his consistency, and you'll get to see why I say so, because he has built a fashion empire. And I'll call it an empire for a reason, because he touches the entire value chain, right from the top to the bottom. He has built something that I think needs to be studied, because, I recently came across a post where a top fashion guy also in the country said that his mates abroad are owning private jets, and people are complaining that he just bought a Rolls Royce, and then I think I found that very instructive, because we often underestimate what it took for them to build such successful empires from Africa. So my guest today is none other than Mr. Adedoyin Balogun. Welcome, sir.
Thank you very much.
Sir.
I'm happy, honored to be Venture Valley.
Thank you for coming to join us. I think for me, when I thought of doing this episode, I know that first of all, you're very busy, so to get you will not be easy, but eventually you made out time, so thank you very much. I know that you're I know you're very, very in the craft. You're not someone that likes noise or this thing, but I think for me, I feel like a lot of entrepreneurs owe the society their stories. And I think we need to be intentional about crafting entrepreneurial stories and telling them. Most entrepreneurs don't know how to do it themselves, because they would rather just do the work. And that's what we have designed Venture Valley to be. Our goal is to unearth those stories and find ways to inspire someone, because the more stories we tell, the more people will feel like saying, me too. I should do this too. Oh, this is possible too. I can do it too, and that's what we aim to achieve with this platform. So, but I think from studying your journey and seeing how far you've come, I think you've really built a story around fashion, and fashion has also given you something quite exceptional. How did you journey toward the world of fashion, knowing that, you started from a pure and applied chemistry, if I'm correct, but now, you've been with fashion, your love for fashion. How did that evolve?
Okay, so right from an early age, I'd known that I'd always had the creative streak in me.
But I really didn't know I would end up in fashion. I thought I would be a furniture maker or
Really?
a sculptor, yes. Because I'd always liked the craft from my early years. My mom still teases me once in a while with that. But what happened, with the turning point was ASUU strike. Abacha was head of state. And there was this endless ASUU strike. And he said, you know what, I'm going to sack all the lecturers. I'm going to employ foreigners. And so we were stuck because there was no date. There was no negotiations. A friend of mine, Dupe, I never failed to mention her in this story. Her mom had just coming from US and had T-shirts to sell. Of course, the typical Nigerian that would go, okay, hand luggage, okay, we don't go if sell, that kind of thing. And it's okay, Dupe, let me have some now. I'd never sold before, and I was able to sell a set. I asked her for another batch. She gave me. I sold off and asked her for another batch. She said, it's finished. I said, no, it can't be finished. I have orders. She said, no, that it was just Mom's trip and it's finished. And there was the light bulb moment that, okay, hold up. You can make this thing happen now. This is not spectacular. There used to be a market. It's been rebuilt because it got burnt. The former one got burnt. Clothiers Joshua Market
In Lagos.
In Lagos, that's Yaba exists. So I just took a trip there. I was in my teens, but I just felt that this thing is possible. Big market. Asked for the fabric section, directed me there. I saw good fabrics, comparable to what I just finished selling. So it's okay. Now the harder part came, where to get the artisanship. Asked around, looked at a couple of samples here and there, and run out samples, and that was how it was born, literally. So when people say, oh, how much did you start with? I say, you don't want to know, because really, maybe 2,000 naira.
Really?
Yeah, really. It doesn't sound believable, but that's what it is. And I just saw the potential. So what happened is that I sold the T-shirts, and friends would now say, oh, my brother is interested, but he can't wear T-shirts to work. Can you make shirts? And it was just the same system. Went to the market. Okay, where can I get cotton? Not jersey fabric now, that stretches. Cotton. Oh, you can go upstairs. Okay, okay. Made friends, okay, where can I get good tailor, good artisan, that makes one or two. Of course, you now find out that, okay, that's a different kettle of fish, the way they work. And
so
all that.
You were sourcing this from Tejo Osho Market?
Yes, Tejo Osho Market.
And selling them where?
So don't forget we were on strike.
Okay. What school was this?
University of Jos.
Okay.
So, and a lot of us, we had a very, very large population of people from Lagos. In fact, we even had a fellowship that we held on Friday, at, I think it's a horse memorial, Asabo.
Okay.
So then later we moved to, there's this Nigerian shopping complex. One of the friends, his brother gave us his place. It used to be Terry's. They used to do burger, shawarma. I think they were like the first.
In Jos?
No, in Lagos.
In Lagos, okay.
Because we're all back home. A lot of us in Jos were from Lagos.
Okay.
Right? So we just like, there were no phones.
Obviously.
So it meant that the only time you get to see each other was maybe Fridays when we had TGIF. That's what we used to call it. And so, of course, you get your merchandise ready. Oh, this is what I have. This is what I have. Okay. Now, what would happen is that some people now say, okay, look, I really love this. Can you keep it for me? Anytime we resume, I'll pay for it, because I don't get to get pocket money from my parents until when I'm going to school. So that opened a bigger market, because it meant that when I took the item to school and I sold off, I had people now said, oh, can I get for my boyfriend? It's his birthday. But don't forget that I was out of stock, right? So the question now was, I can't go back home. That was not what my father sent me to school to go and do.
So you couldn't leave just to go back to Lagos.
And the strike lasted for I think 9 months, because after the national called off, the Jos local ASUU also now had their own strike. So after almost 10 months, so it was like a full year off. And I replicated the same model. So, okay, there's a market terminus, I could get fabric, artisans, and I could make. So before I graduated...
So it was fabric, artisans, markets,
yes,
customers.
Yeah. And so before I graduated, I already had a business, in quotes. Yeah. So I literally even stopped collecting money from home, because I just said, look, it's fine. So my projects, I funded it because I was making money. But beyond the money I was at peace.
You were
at peace. I was at peace within. I was happy. So therein lay the bigger problem. Is this what you really want to do with your life?
Yeah, I mean, that's a good question to ask, right?
And it's a question I had to ask myself. And I tell you sincerely, I remember asking myself, how many shirts would you sell to buy a tire? That was the question.
Buy what?
A tire. A tire. I didn't say a car. I said a tire. How many shirts would I need to buy a tire? That was the question I asked. It didn't look promising.
Okay.
It didn't look realistic, because I'm like, how much were the shirts then? What, 2000, 2005? Cars then were 2 point something, So therein lay the problem of, would this thing make sense?
So you need to sell 1,000 shirts to get to
how easy is it to sell 1,000? No. You see, you're talking about turnover. You're not talking about profit.
Oh yeah.
So you need to sell more than that. Don't forget that this was a fresh grad, and I just had dreams.
Yes.
Fast forward, my dad had seen that, okay, but he just waved it off as something that, I would grow out of, just youthful exuberance. So that's okay. So he finished pure and applied chemistry, but this Nigeria, you really can't work with it. Getting this spectacular. So you're going for medicine. So UI, Unilag, or Ibadan, or Ife. I remember. So I manned up and said, so we wanted to have a conversation with you. I want to do fashion full time. So back then, fashion was not a big deal. It was not a big thing. Do you understand? It had to be engineering, accounting, law, medicine, those professional, in quote, courses.
Yeah.
Any other thing was, you're not a serious person. So he pretty upset. You don't want to know. I can still remember the conversation. I still remember we were in the car. I still remember the spot where it happened. And he said, he's going to disown me. He told me straight up. He said, I will disown you. Your mother has put you up to this. And I'm not sure
your mother has
put you up to this.
Why would you think so?
So really what happens in most families is that the woman always supports, no matter how stupid the dream is.
Yeah, the woman always
believes against all.
Yeah.
So my mom was that person that just said, okay, this is what you want. Okay. And my dad was like, how can you encourage him to do tailoring? Do you understand? So he just felt she tacitly supported, without, against all good reason. Do you understand? So I knew that two options. Either it worked or it worked. There was no way out. But before then, which is something I like to tell entrepreneurs, are you really sure this is what you want to do? Because you're going to have highs and lows. And it's not going to be about the money. Sometimes the money will not be there. That is just the truth. And sometimes the passion will fail. So you need to be sure. You need to be fully persuaded within you that this is it. That's what keeps you going. That's what keeps you going. And fast forward.
Because you might as well have done any other thing, right?
Absolutely. I had an offer to work with a telecoms company. Okay, so I was now posted to Abuja.
For NYSC?
NYSC. At the tail end of NYSC, the telecoms, this was in 2001, 2002, the telecoms company had just been licensed. And to one of my clients that I'd sold shirts to, I said, you're about to finish your NYSC? I said, yes, ma'am. Okay, go to the Hilton room, so. They're having interviews for fresh graduates to join the telecom company. And I told her, no, I don't need work. I'm already engaged. But can I give my friend, that we're serving together? And she's like, which work do you have? I said, this shirt that I'm selling. She looked at me. She was working at National Bank, near Ministry of Finance. She just looked at me in disbelief, as of to, in pity.
See, this one is mad, though.
Yeah. Because they're real people, and I'm saying this because it's not a fluke. There are real people that I can reference. Do you understand? Before Rufai banned Okadas, so during my service here, I wouldn't go home because I meant to be serving. I had tailors in Lagos that I was using. I would get orders from the banks. I would take the orders to Lagos. I'll take night bus. All right. We'll land Lagos in the morning. I would have my bath at the park. All right. Get to my tailors. All the things I dropped prior, I would pack them, give them fresh orders, go back to the park and take night bus back. Don't forget, my father wasn't in agreement, and I was meant to be serving as a copper in Abuja. So there was no how
you could go home.
Exactly. All right. And I needed to be back where I was serving, my place of primary assignment. All right. So it was a balance. Exactly. And back then, once I landed where I was squatting in Garki to sort my things out. Okay, this is for Elijah, this is for John, this is for this. So all these are going to Wuse 2. Literally, I would shatter a bike. All right. And we will move from Garki 2 to Wuse 2. I start going through the banks to go and drop off the deliveries. And I knew in my head, so the banks, they get paid 22nd, 21st. So everything I needed to deliver must be with the clients by 21st.
So you can get your money.
So you don't have stories that touch. So at the end of my NYC, right, I'd aggregated, I didn't touch my allowance, all right, because the business sustained me. Made a bit of money from there. Now, I was able to pay for my first store, which was in Garki Model Market, right? And that's how we took off.
So your initial capital was from selling?
Yes.
And your NYC allowed you?
Exactly.
But I mean, you began this conversation by touching on something quite sensitive, right? And I think that's the decision-making process of even pursuing a path in entrepreneurship.
Yeah.
With the gift of hindsight now, what lessons can you draw from that? And what information, if someone watching this is looking at it and like saying, I'm thinking of pursuing a career in fashion.
Okay.
Or like starting a business in fashion. Or I'm thinking of starting a business.
So let me not say
with the gift of hindsight.
So let me not say fashion. Let me talk generally. I would say with the gift of hindsight, with the benefit of hindsight, for me, I may have worked 1 or 2 years in a structured environment to understand some basics, which I've had to go back to business school to understand. Okay? So even the most brilliant entrepreneur and enterprise, there will always be a time whereby you need to reschool, you need to retool, you need to upskill, your mind, because there's only so much you know. You need to be able to smoothen those rough edges. So this, but how do you put it in structure to enable you scale? Do you understand? How do you transfer that knowledge? How do you delegate? How do you ensure that other people can join the vision? How do you make it attractive for investment? So all these are the things that you might not get right, just
venture
just on the go. So my younger self, I would say, okay, work a bit, maybe 2-3 years, not necessarily for the money. It's more to understand how organizations really work and fit together.
That means work in a structured organization that can teach you something.
Exactly. You understand? So that you can glean from that and use that as a template. Because if you don't do that now, you will do it later. If you don't do it later, then you won't have a business. There are things that just you just can't do without. Yeah. So that's just it.
So pushing from that time, I mean, you evolved, you had your startup capital. I mean, obviously you had gone off your parents' lifeline and support even before graduating.
So that's why it was easier.
Really?
Yes, because at the point at which, so for most parents, for most fathers, the finance is what they use to control you.
Okay.
So you just cow to say, okay, But at the point at which I started earning, don't forget I started earning right from uni. So as far as I was concerned, I was okay. I was okay. What does a young man need?
Were you able to answer your question? How many shirts you're going to sell, and what did that make you do?
So it did it. So I tell you now, you've probed deeper, and it was a sincere question, and I got answers, and I'm a Christian, so my faith has played a huge role in my business. And there were scriptures that dropped in my spirit.
Yeah, which one?
It talks about, have you seen a man diligent
in his business?
He will serve before
kings
and not mere men.
Yeah.
So the first key was not what I was doing. It was the diligence with which I was doing it with. So I got that okay, so I needed to be diligent. And anybody that works with me will tell you, I work passionately. This is my oil and gas. I don't joke with it. I don't joke with my deliverables. I don't joke with my timelines. I don't joke with my clients. I don't joke with my customer service. That was what diligence has taught me. And
well, how did you navigate that period where your mates were joining telecom companies? They had a lifestyle, and you were starting out, navigating all of that and being someone selling clothes. The prestige that was not necessarily there at the time.
So I told you something earlier. You need to be convinced beyond all doubts. And it has to be you. It has to be in your knower. Do you understand? It has to be, nobody can do it for you. You can't look at Elijah and want to run Elijah's race. It must be you. It must come from within, because that is what makes it sustainable. It's not the money. Sometimes the passion. And you're right. You see, so I had mates who had just joined the bank. Of course, they'll give you housing. Sometimes they give you a car loan.
Yes.
So
lifestyle.
Yeah, nice. But guess what? I just figured that it was just a matter of time. I would get it. But the difference was that this was my business I was building. You could be fired at any time. And you see, if you look at the bigger picture, it meant that as they also grew up the corporate ladder, I also grew, because they were my friends, and meaning that I had a market that was growing and I could leverage them. I could leverage their connect. I could leverage their network to also grow. We can't all, there's a Yoruba adage, we can't all sleep and face the same direction. Yes. So for me, I was the outlier and it was fine. I'd made peace with myself that this is what I wanted to do. Do you understand? And I was very happy with it. So when I told Muji, and that's the lady then, that no, I was already employed. I didn't want a job. You know, she was like, "Are you for real?" I said, "Yeah. This is." I was happy. I saw potential. I saw opportunity, you know, in it. So I was happy. And I think that's very, very important. We need to, while it's good to have aspirations based on other people's achievements, we need to be real to ourselves, right? I think it's very important that we don't run. So every now and again in my business, I meet clients who would have been fashion designers. And I meet them on a regular. They are bankers. They have fantastic eyes for details. They have very, very good ideas. And some have told me that, I would have done this thing. Or some have told me that, I started selling. I was making this. I was making shirts. I was doing this in Aba. I said, so what happened? He said, my brother.
My brother.
When you say my brother, that
It's a full message.
It's a full message, and I get it. For some people, they don't have the staying power. For some people, they don't have the willpower, to say, Dad, Mom, this is what I want to do. For some people, they don't have the staying. They started a bit. Like I said, it has its off days. It has its bad days. You have tailors that go off in their shenanigans. You have clients that can go off in tirades and just run you down. It's all parts and parcel of it. But guess what? If you were working in an organization, you also have the same. So if you look at that, it's not any different. You're just in a different sector.
But going through the journey, you said, okay, you know what, I'm going to start this brand and I'm going to start it in Abuja. I've spent the last 1 year in Abuja. I've evolved. I've met some people, built my networks. So what was it like evolving from NYSC and then starting this business? Like, because it was a new reality. You were not receiving alawi, so
I didn't know I was starting Abuja. I thought I would start in Lagos because I had a small production spot in Unilag, which I took over from my mom. She had a store there, right? And why Unilag? So people say, Unilag, you sell to the students. I was never selling to the students. Students were never my catchment area per se. I was selling to the corporates, to the bankers in VI, Ikoyi. But Unilag provided me stable electricity because they had their own substation.
Okay, yeah, that's true.
Factors of production, economics 101. So I found that, okay, so I had artisans, I had power, so I didn't need to buy a generator. That for me was huge. I could get my stuff from Tejo Show. They were making it, and I was going to supply on the island and VI and Ikoyi, and that for me was so I never thought I would come to Abuja. It was when we're NYC, during NYC, one of my trips to Lagos, I was buying stuff, and clearly I just heard it that I want to set up in Abuja. I was a bit worried, and I was scared because Abuja is expensive.
Was it more expensive than Lagos?
Oh yes, without a shadow of doubt. In Lagos, you could always find your level. If you can't be on the island, you can be on the mainland. If you can't be on the mainland, you can be in the suburbs. There's always a place for everybody in Lagos. You had the ghettos, you had the slums, you had the mid, you had the high. So, Abuja that we know it today was not even Abuja of, like I said, I was squatting in Gerkitu. You wanted, for it to be in Abuja, how much did I have as a copper? How much was the allowance? 11,000 naira. Do you understand? How much did I use to aggregate and build and start the store? How much was revenue? How much was turnover? How much was profit? So those were critical questions. How could I employ staffs? So for a while I even started, my tailor was still in Lagos. So I was still taking the night bus.
To Lagos?
Emphasis on night bus. I never failed to emphasize that it was night bus.
Why?
because with Night Bus, I could maximize my day in Abuja, sleep through the nights, and be at my destination in Lagos, maximize my day in Lagos, and be back in Abuja. So I never lost time. That was why.
Oh, I thought it was because it was cheaper.
No. For me, it was time. I could sleep after maximizing and expending myself all through the day.
And I will just sleep through the trip.
Exactly. And I wake up and I'm in Lagos.
Wow. No waste of time.
No way. Time is the only resource that you can't get back.
Yeah.
Two resources that you can't really get back. One, man has been able to find a way around it. The other one, man has not been able to find a way. The first is time, and the second is land. So if you understand resource and resource control and how it affects the economy of things, it will also affect the way your mind works.
So let's dig deeper into the business of fashion, right? I think we are now in an age where we see lots of people, everybody. It's like, I think Instagram also came in.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, you guys, there's something we call people like you. We call you OG before IG.
So there are three generations of in this whole digital space.
Yes.
I'm a migrant.
Yes, yeah, a migrant.
I'm still trying to find my way.
Yes.
Right?
Any of us are natives.
I think you are native. You are a native. Do you understand? Yeah, you're a native. Do you understand? My kids are natives.
Yeah,
do you understand? While my mom, I won't say my mom is a migrant. She's tried to be a migrant, but I think she's
but those boomers are
no, they're still well, she's learning fast. Yeah, they're learning fast. You know, and it's so, how will I put it now? The truth of the matter is, what I tell younger people is that the basics have not really changed.
What are the basics?
The basics of hard work. I was having a conversation the other day that, because I heard people say, no, you don't need to work hard. You just need to work smart. And I said, look, it is impossible. And I stand to be corrected for you to work smart without working hard.
I came across a very interesting quote on this topic of working smart, and it says, let me just read it out.
Right.
Let me draw it out. The quote hit me in a way that I never knew someone could articulate it like that. And I'm a sucker for right words. The person said, working smart is built on thousands of hours of working hard to earn that intuition of working smart.
That's just it. Absolutely. Absolutely. Because when you work hard, you now understand the inner working. And you can now improve systems and processes to make it faster, better. You understand? And that's smarter. So how do you get to the end without the starting point? Now, going back, what are the basics? Hard work. What are the basics? Diligence. What are the basics? Consistency. What are the basics? Showing up. What are the basics? Good customer centricity, good customer care. What are the basics? Just keeping to your word, integrity. You can't use technology to negate those things. They will always remain the core of any business. They're timeless principles.
Yeah.
And they're not a respecter of persons. They're not a respecter of geographical location. So it's funny because I see young people just think they can attain. The only thing that starts from the top is the grave. Everything you must build from ground up for it to be sustainable. If you jump, you must come down, and you come with a thud. But when you grow up, you get to stay up. Line upon line, precept upon precept.
True. But, I mean, looking at the fact that, nowadays you have a lot of young people, everyone trying to enter into fashion. I think something I observed as a trend, maybe you speak to that first before I even come to the idea of the trend. Those days, T-shirts and the rest, there was a time where we didn't really embrace our cultural attires as much. Then all of a sudden, it's picked up. Right. As a matter of fact, I think I came across someone that was sharing on Instagram, and the person was saying that I don't understand why we still wear suits in this country. How did that evolution also evolve with business?
Fantastic. So, a lot of people don't know that there's a nexus between fashion and democracy. Yes. And I'm saying this as a player actively in the industry. Unfortunately, our leadership has not been deliberate enough to understand this. Why do I say that? Now, cast your mind back to 1999. Obasanjo came and he always wore agbada. Okonjo was wearing Ankara, and Obasanjo's Ankara largely were tie and dye adire and Ankara, right? And so you find out that people started gravitating towards it. All right. The women also started wearing more wrappers. Now, move to Yaradua, the kaftans took over. Then we shift to Good Luck, the South, even up to today. There are fabrics that people call, I want South material. It's wool, but I want South material, right? Now, move to Buhari/Oshibajo. All these are things that have shaped that they were not suit-wearing presidents. Because you become what you see.
Yeah.
By omission or commission. There was not suit-wearing presidents. Now, where really the real clincher, really was 2020, COVID. Because if you follow the trend, what has happened is that the face of work as we know it today has also changed. Right? So even the banks, who were the ones that always had to portray the suit, have said, you know what? You can work offline. You can work remotely. You know what? That means that you can actually be productive without wearing a suit. And therein, you find that there are banks that say, okay, you can wear kaftans to work. Just ensure you are properly dressed. It must not be lacy. It must not be a bright colored fabric. And in some instances, you must wear a hat just to complete the look. It's now accepted as a corporate wear in our banks. Pre-2020, that would have been sacrilege.
That's true.
Do you get
even on Fridays, banks now wear.
Exactly. So it's now become commonplace. Right? Now, it's funny because Nigeria is what the rest of Africa looks up to in terms of clothing and fashion.
Interesting.
By omission or commission. If you go to other countries, other African countries, you find out that a lot of things derive from Nigeria. Either they just modify it. Before, now let me take your mind back. Before democracy, during Abacha, everybody wearing Senegalese. Remember?
I remember, yes.
Long kaftans, right hand.
Yes.
Yeah. Everyone was wearing Senegalese. Senegalese was the other day.
Yes,
you had people coming in, bringing in loads and loads of tons of fabric. Senegal. Exactly. Today, where's Senegalese? So what has happened is that young people have come into the fray, have made this thing smarter. That I don't have to wear
something bogus.
I can actually, just the way your suit fits you, it's tapered. I can give you a kaftan. I can give you ashoke pants that would also fit you just the way you'd wear a foreign brand. So we've had to look inwards. Aside from the democracy, effect of democracy, aside from effect of COVID, what has also happened is that the economy has forced people to look inwards. So people that would either go for summer and buy clothes are saying, you know what, I can save my money. I can get good alternatives here. I can do fitting. We have fantastic suit makers. We have fantastic shirt makers. We have fantastic designers that do all sorts of clothes, and it's made in Nigeria, and you can get to save your money. So things are coming together gradually. You know, we're not yet there, but they're coming together.
So, but what do you think? I mean, you were speaking about the fact that people would rather not even travel, but there's been a conversation around the fact that because we don't make our fabrics here, that's also affected to the extent to which our style and our industry can grow.
So it's you're speaking to one of the things that I'm really passionate about. Unfortunately, we are the tail end of the value chain. Tail end because we just add value. We just add value at the tail end. I'm pleasantly surprised that we still have and I just found out, we have, at least that I know of, there are about 4 textile companies functional in Nigeria.
Oh, really?
Yes. 2 I know of in Lagos. I think one is in Kano, Kaduna. But the one that really got me excited was there's one in Funtua, in Katsina. And they do cotton. It's large. But they're not working at optimal capacity. I think maybe 20-25%. You know, I've seen their cotton. I've seen they're very, very good. A lot more work needs to be done, funds, finance, and all of that, but it's functional. So there's a ray of hope, but there needs to be a tie-in. There must be, you see, I tell anybody that cares to listen that for me, and this is my own personal assessment, after agriculture, the next biggest thing in this country should be the garment fashion industry, because it has the capacity to employ millions of people, and the domino effect is only to be imagined. It's only to be imagined. Yes, it's bigger than oil.
So I think for you, you've grown beyond just being a fashion designer to being in the business of fashion. And to being a business person that is independent even outside fashion. What has been like the retoolings that you've had to do to be able to evolve? Because something I see a lot is you have people who are designers, but then they don't necessarily understand the business. Then you have people who understand the business, but they don't know how to scale it. You know, what thought processes and equipping has had to happen in your mind to be able to scale?
So let me start by saying, if you know better, you do better. And you must seek for knowledge. You know, I've had to go back, business schools, do programs, do courses, because that's the only way you can really know what's out there, you know, and get that exposure. I know that, there's a lot more to what I'm doing, and there's a lot more to what I can do. Yeah, so that I think is, so you never get too comfortable in your cocoon, in your space, and just think, you have reached El Dorado. I think it's important that you are able to say, okay, what next? And sometimes what next means you stepping out of your zone. You know, what are other people doing? And sometimes it might not even be local. Step out. You know, one of my biggest learning curves comes from when I travel. I just take it there. I just soak it in. You know, sometimes I'm not even in class. I'm just walking. Their window display, the way they set up, the sheer size of their staffs on the ground floor, just manning, not even the ones behind the scene, the sheer size of the operation, or what it could be. Then, of course, what the brands are you looking to aspire to be like, and what's their story? You know, and how have they been able to reach where they are? You know, everyone has a story. Your work as an entrepreneur is to find out the story. Because if you find out the story, you're able to cut out some years, and you're able to lessen the pain points.
Interesting. I mean, I think one of the major fashion brands in the world that I quite admire from a business perspective is Zara. You're smiling.
I'm smiling because that's one of the brands that I not just admire, but I've also tried to understand how they've come this far. You know, and a lot of people don't even know the owner's name. you know. So when I talk and I said, oh, I'm a hotel guy, and they said, who is that? You know,
Yeah.
and I said, Zara. And he's understood the business so well, you know, both in terms of the offerings. So there are, I think, about 5 brands, Muslim Duty, Zara,
Yes.
Pull&Bear. You know, he's understood to cater for different markets. You know, his business model, he cites stores just beside designer stores. You know, the offerings per season mirrors what is trending on the walkway of Milan, Paris, London Fashion Week. So the turnover is much higher. You know, I think at a point he reached number 4, number 3.
Yes,
Forbes
richest in the world.
Yes. But he's still up there, way up there, maybe 12th or 13th. I'm not sure. I've not checked the recent rankings.
So I mean, like, what do you think? Do you think it's possible for Africa to contest or to compete like those kind of global brands? Like, what will it take for us to have that kind of global expression?
It's I never believe in impossibilities. It's possible, but it's difficult.
What do you think is stopping us?
So a lot of things. You have policies, we have access to finance, we have the cost of finance, you have manpower, you have training. There are no handshakes in the system, right? So as an entrepreneur, you literally have to do everything yourself. Zara owns a textile mill called Inditex.
Yes.
All right, Inditex. So that means access to fabric is settled. All right, how do you access fabrics? I go to Aba, I go to Lagos, or I import myself. That means that I'm already paying tariffs, charges, taxes, you know, duty on fabric. That also automatically means that what I'm offering is more expensive than what they will give you in Asia because I'm importing the fabric from Asia. Do you get my sense? So that's so we might not be able to compete in some regard on the basis of money and cost, right? But we can compete in terms of our own style. Our style is unique to us. Yes, our kaftan is our kaftan. Our agbada is our agbada. The Asians have not gotten it right. Our ashoke is our ashoke. So rather than being a fish trying to climb a tree, maybe we should try and better our swimming tactics in the water with what we have. But there are bigger problems also. So for instance, now, there's a project I'm trying to do with Ashoke weavers. Well, guess what? There's only so much the weavers can do. Now it's rainy season, right? It means that because they're still using the old looms. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So it also means that there's only so much capacity and there's only so much they can produce per time. That means that if I need to supply, for the sake of this discussion, maybe 1,000 pieces of an item, how will I source it? Well, how long will it take me to mop up all the ashokes that I will need for that? So that's a problem. All right. Then you have the issue of manpower. In this industry, a lot of the tailors, artisans that are used in the industry, all right, how did they become tailors?
How?
Poverty, not passion. You've done secondary school. I can't send you to further. Can you go and join the tailor down the road? All right. So what happens is it's not a bad thing, but because it's not structured, there's no curriculum. It's whatever the man sews per time. That is what you learn. Now you also learn all these idiosyncrasies, how he lies, how he disappoints. It's a transference before you do your freedom. So it's garbage in, garbage out. You can't give what you don't have. So we're all sort of pulling from the same pool of, tailors who it's a struggle. You understand? Unfortunately, some of these things aren't things that entrepreneurs can do themselves because capital intensive.
Yeah, ecosystem problems.
Yes, ecosystem problem. Why did I say that? There are no vocational schools. The vocational training institutes are literally dead, and if there are, they're not enough. All right. 6334 that Professor Babs Fafunwa introduced was meant to speak to that, whereby you're meant to have 6 years of compulsory primary school education, 3 years of junior secondary. Then the other 3 years, you could start learning a craft. You had wood, you could do woodcraft, you could do welding, and from there, you'd learn the trade and all that. What happened to all that? Because what we really need are not white-collar jobs in this country. We don't need people for the white-collar market. How many people can they employ? All the telcos, the banks, how many people really altogether they can employ? But artisanship, these crafts, you understand? And that's where we need to get it right as a nation, because that in itself would help our teeming youth population. Do you understand? We have brilliant minds, brilliant, exceptional minds, and sometimes it's just a nudge that they just need in the right direction, as an entrepreneur. So people say, oh, so why don't you set up a training? I said, there's only so much I can do per time. But let us even assume I set up a training school, all right? Here's the challenge. I want to charge to train you. The people that can pay or that will be able to pay, they're not the people that can be retained for the industry. The people that you can retain for the industry, the people that cannot afford it. So who bridges that gap?
You have to find development partners
Exactly.
Or government.
That's it. So that's therein lies the problem. So you have that. So because I'm juxtaposing our scenario vis-a-vis Zara. All right. In Bangladesh, a small factory has about 1,000 to 3,000 people. Medium-sized factory has about 5 to 10,000 people. A large textile factory, garment factory, has 10,000 to 30,000 people. These are verifiables that you can check. And they run shifts because it's clockwork. And that is what that country literally, that's their oil.
That's interesting.
So we need a lot of handshakes across the value chain, from the cotton growers down to the designers. There's a lot that can happen, and a lot that should happen in that value chain.
And do you think? I mean, I recently had a fashion designer on the podcast, and he actually had a bad experience, which he shared, where he went to do a pop-up shop in London, and he didn't really make a lot of money. Like, he didn't even make back the money he used to do that. He was very expressive about it in the on the podcast, and he told me, he said, Elijah, I would have spent all that money expanding to other African countries rather than even trying to do something in the UK. What are your thoughts around an African-wide expansion rather than a global, to other continents?
I think we should start from home. I think expanding to African countries is better. It's not just, it's safer, it's cheaper, and even the logistics might make more sense than the UK. So typically, let's even do the analysis. So we have a large diasporan population in UK. But where would they wear your natives to?
Weddings, maybe.
Weddings. The weddings they will wear your natives to has to be in the summer.
Most likely, yes.
Exactly.
We don't have clothes for winter.
Exactly. Because of the temperature. So in a year of 12 months, how many months? And if you know anything about the British weather, it is very unstable. In fact, one of the worst insults they can abuse you with is that you're unstable as the British weather. That's the height of insult. So it's a reality, But sometimes we do that also for the brand, for the optics. Oh, you did a shop in the UK. It sounds good. What is the ROI? It might not be if you look at if you whittle it down to the numbers, So yes, with West African in West Africa in African markets, I think it's better because they are closer to us.
And they understand it better.
They are closer to us. We are one people. So they understand us. We understand them. Do you understand? They can appreciate the kaftan more. They can appreciate an agbada more than abroad. Even washing it. I've had a client that had to do his laundry in UK, and we were talking, and he just started giggling. He said when he gave the cleaners the agbada, they thought it was a parachute. No jokes. They were looking at it. How'd you put this on? And I said, it's an agbada. I said, you say what? So ours is ours.
That was a parachute.
So that's it.
So, but building through the years, I mean, you've done over 20 years in this industry. Well, if I count even time in school, I'm thinking I'll be approaching 30.
Yeah.
What would you do differently?
Lots of things I'll do differently. Well, see, then again, that sometimes can also be a trick question, because sometimes when you do things differently, you might not be where you are today. Do you understand? So everything, you must see it as a learning curve, right? Like I said before, to my younger self, I'll say, work for 2 or 3 years.
Okay.
Just gain the corporate experience. If I could, I would go to a technical school. A technical school. Now, what people don't understand, so I meet people daily and say, oh, do you so? I say, I don't tailor. And I'm not ashamed about it. I don't say, oh, they'll cheat you. Oh, you're not being controlled. That's relative. I've been in the industry for much longer than you care to know. And I'm still here. And I'm still taking. You see, we need to be realistic. As a fashion entrepreneur, right? What you need is to understand fashion management. Not the act of tailoring. What we need as a people is we need scale. You travel abroad, you go to Zara, and you pick up your size and you walk away. You have implicit faith that it will fit you because it's a size this, that they said it there, and that's what you always buy. You go to your hotel room and it fits. You go to a tailor who has the benefit of seeing you physically. He's measured you. He's made you do some exercises, bend, raise your hand, stoop down. 3 weeks after disappointing you, you finally come and your outfit does not fit. Bitter customer experience. We need to get it right. And some of these things are not things that are about, it's not just about the mechanics of it. It's not just about the tailoring of it. There's an entire, so I was privileged to, I did a course at, in an academy in Milan. And I learned that we've not even started. So the course happened during the Milan Fashion Week.
Okay.
Now, during the Milan Fashion Week, you have 3 major set of people. You have the influencers, you have the fashion buyers, you have the press. All right? They are the ones that occupy the front rows of the runways.
Yeah.
Right? So I was curious. I said, how does this thing work? Now, we're also privileged to go to the house of, we couldn't enter, but we passed it, the house of Giorgio Armani. Later I'll share the video with you.
Okay.
The buildings on the entire street, 90% were owned by Armani.
Wow.
But that's not the catch. So they design, they create a collection, what they call a collection. You have, and it's not one person's job. You have designers, you have pattern makers, you have the tech pack people. Now, when a collection is made, that is what is prepared for the runway. Right? On the runway, don't forget I said you have the influencers who wear, right? You have the press, then you have the buyers. Now, what happens is the buyers we're talking about is not the you and I. The buyers we're talking about are people who have chains of stores, 300, 400, 500, 1,000, 200 stores, network. So after the first show, they have what they call a private viewing.
Okay.
Private viewing is away from the crowd. You get to see the clothes up close and personal. Oh, okay. So this one, I like this design. We need 700 pieces. We're going to stock 5 or 10 in each of our stores. Oh, I like this. Okay, I like to take 1,800 of this.
Wow.
Right? So you have that setting. You have the buyers, the merchandisers.
Buyers in Africa.
Wait, now I'm coming. Because you see, when you say do we have fashion buyers, do we have capacity to scale? Is the bigger question.
I see.
So when they are saying you have fashion buyers, if they order, it comes for 500 kaftans, black. What's the capacity? And it must be delivered within 30 working days. How many people have that? And it must be consistent in quality. Now, what happens is, so after the fashion buyers have placed their orders, top finance and all that, what happens is that the fashion designer now gives it to the fashion house, now gives it to what they call production houses. Production houses, they're not labeled. They have built scale and capacity to replicate. Those ones, so for instance, now they'll tell you, okay, your order will take 3 months. The production houses will deliver to the fashion houses in 2 months. Then it's now shipped accordingly for it to get to you in that 3 months. It's a cycle.
So there's the production house.
There's a fashion house.
There's the fashion house.
Yes.
Then there's the fashion buyer.
Yes. Now, interestingly, because it's a big circle. In the course of production, because if you've ever watched an assembly line being produced, sometimes you have damages and all that. What happens? Those things are taken off the production line and kept aside. They are known as factory rejects.
Yes.
Those factory rejects are brought into Africa as okrika and thrift. That's why you will see brand new clothes
in bales.
Brand new.
I've always wondered, like, if you don't catch that size, you don't find another size. So.
Because the cost of them repairing it is too much. It's too much energy, too much work for them to stop the production, to take it back to the production line. This person has already moved on to the next article, so it's cheaper for them. So what they just do, they just tear the label, or they mark it, they shade it, so that the brand integrity won't be compromised. It's been marked down, and keep it aside. We don't have all that. It's huge. We're talking about $1 billion industry. Billions. It's huge. And that's why the US, I think it was US that sanctioned Rwanda when they said they didn't want fairly used clothes. Because it's going to disrupt the cycle. There's a demand for everything. The rejected clothes has a demand. There's an income from that. There's a demand for everything. It's a cycle. One country saying they don't want again, it disrupts the cycle. You now have a glut somewhere else. So we don't have all this. And these are things that the country must do, policymakers must be deliberate about. So Milan Fashion Week, you don't see the government, but you see the government. It's private sector driven, but behind the scenes,
The government is
because the government knows that more tourists are going to come in. So guess what? They're collecting taxes from the hotels. Guess what? They're collecting taxes from the taxis. The trains are working. It's everybody is in on it.
It's a
well-oiled system. So we need to think, this is the way we need to think.
What do you think it would take for us to achieve that, really?
We need something to be deliberate and intentional. That's all. Political will. It's not rocket science. It's not rocket science.
Wow. Wow. I mean, I think you've actually taken it even like bigger than what the market has even imagined, because I think a lot of people, what they are still doing is just day by day trading.
Which is what we're all doing, really. We don't have scale. What we need is scale. We don't need 2x2 these fashion designers. So I see a lot of brilliance on Instagram. But the question is, can you scale? Because where the money is not in the one piece.
Yeah.
The real money is in the scale. But what does it take to scale? Training the manpower, raw materials, consistent raw materials. Not that I need 200 of these mugs. You say no deal, because we don't manufacture. So we're at the mercy of what is imported.
So I came across a report called "Who is Dressing 220 plus million people?" Very, very interesting report.
Without even reading the report, I can tell you who is dressing us.
Who?
Asia.
We're all being dressed by Asia.
Asia. Because even up to thread is being imported. Up to thread. So we say our Ashoke, and I'm going to give you different narratives. We say our Ashoke, oh, this is our own, but the thread wasn't made in Nigeria. The thread for the Ashoke was made in Nigeria. It was imported.
So let me read out
Yes.
some figures to you. It says Nigeria's fashion economy is largely informal, import dependent, and undercapitalized, with annual consumer spending estimated at $2.5 to $6 billion. The sector contributes only $129 million to GDP, but 0.47% of the national total. Most of the value is lost to imports and informal retail activity. Nigeria imports up to $6 billion in apparel and textiles each year, excluding an estimated $1.2 billion in smuggled goods, while exports remain under $100 million. Despite strong economic demand and cultural influence, the industry remains fragmented, underfunded, and full of untapped potential. How does that make you feel?
It's a reality. It doesn't make me feel anyhow, because this is the reality of where we are.
And I think that's also an opportunity.
So when we talk about opportunities, we also need to be realistic. Right? The numbers you are crunching here are not small figures, right? What is the average for the designer, for the average fashion designer? What is his route to finance? What is the cost of his finance? What is the duration of the accessible finance? Okay, that's one. Two, how much knowledge does he have at his disposal in terms of being able to tap into this market,
Global
this
market.
$6 billion market? Three, how much manpower does he have to scale up to compete on that level? Because you see, yes, we say, oh, opportunity, and you get all excited, you get all giddied up. I want to tap into the 6 billion market. And I'm not saying this to dampen anybody's bubble. It's something that needs concerted effort. There must be a deliberate policy from government, and there must be political will. One, the cotton growers. What happened to all the cotton growers? Some of them have traded cotton, and I'm sorry, some of them have started growing other crops because it wasn't worth their while. All right. What happened to all the textile? What happened to the ginneries?
What happened to the what?
The ginneries that process the cotton.
Okay, the ginneries. Okay.
Yes. What happens to the textile mills? We had so many in Kaduna back then. What happened to them? What would it cost to resuscitate them, albeit invest in new technologies? Okay.
You actually need the government support, actually.
So because
even if you choose to want to go there, who protects you from
it's a huge now the moment, which is why I say political will, because guess what? You're importing 6 billion worth of goods. Yes.
Yes.
That means that one country's export to you, or some countries' export to you, is what you want to stop. They're not going to fold their hands and just allow you take food from their mouth, in quotes.
I mean, it's war.
Exactly.
Business is warfare.
Exactly. So you need to understand that, which is why I said political will, because there has to be front and back door negotiations to say, look, our people want to do this for themselves. So it's not going to come without a fight, and we shouldn't have any misgivings. Then we as a people need to cut our appetite for foreign goods, from the leadership to the followership.
Is it necessarily an appetite? Because are we being unrealistic with that expectation? And I would say this: if I had a local alternative that is affordable with excellence, I would have an appetite for a global brand.
So whether you like it or not, or whether you believe it or not, because I've been in this space for a lot of Nigerians, right? We are very, we are very stylish, and we can be very flamboyant. We like the fact that I can drop a name. This is a high brand. You don't have it. I'm superior to you. It's the way we are. We are very competitive as a people.
Yes.
Do you get my point?
Yes,
right. So those are the things that need to be, and it has to be addressed from the top also. I told you something. I said there's a nexus between the political class and the fashion space. There's a nexus. You can't wish it away. It's there. It's something that I'd done research on, and I'd seen how clothing had morphed based on the leadership of the country. Now, and some of the things that we hold so dear to our heart, the shagu that the Igbo man wears, is not made in Nigeria. The fabric is imported from one of the Scandinavian countries.
It shocked me when I saw that, what do you call this fabric now? This one that women wear. Oh, God.
Is it the George?
George.
It's important. So we need a critical rethink. And we need to be deliberate. What really is our fabric? And why is it our fabric? Why do we say it's our fabric? Ashoke, yes, Ashoke is weaved on our local looms, but the threads are imported. So what really...
The threads are imported, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
So is it the Guinea brocade that is gotten from Austria and Switzerland? So what really is ours? Yes, we can say the style and the tailoring, which is what I alluded to when I said the end of the value chain is what we are still playing. How do we get a bigger slice of the action? How do we control a larger part of the value chain?
Okay. But my question now is this. Yes, you say people should not get excited by the numbers.
Yes. Because you see, I don't want to, I'm a realist. The numbers are exciting when you're 6 billion, but we need to do the walkthrough. We need to do the deep dive. What will it take? And what it will take is not, it might not even take 5 years.
Okay.
It might take 10 years. So there's no point being excited without understanding the real work behind the numbers and getting there. It takes consistency. It takes continuity in government. It takes willpower. That look, this is what we're going to implement. This is what we're going to do. Come rain, come shine, irrespective of whose oil is God. Irrespective of which country doesn't like it. Because now you're talking about international borders. So it's deep.
I get what you mean. It's warfare.
It's warfare. So people are bringing in containers into Aba. Others will stop. And they're just going to fold their hands. No, let's just be realistic. So while we get excited, $6 billion. I love the sound of it. I want to cash in on the $6 billion economy. What's the how? Are we going to, in the process of trying to cash in, are we going to make smuggling a juicier option? Because we must think deep and we must think through. So what will it take, even if we're going to get foreigners to resuscitate our textile mills, what will it take for us to have
incentives?
Wholly grown. What are these incentives? How much incentives can we give as a nation? How many people can be employed? Okay, so where are the areas which are best suited for cotton growing? Okay, can we earmark? Can we have guaranteed offtake and say, okay, you know what? Every farmer that produces this, we the government will stand. We are guaranteeing you that we're going to buy it at international prices, and this is it, just for you to supply to the ginneries who supply to the textile mills. Elijah, I have machines that I have to import the needles because it's not even available in Nigeria.
The needles?
Yes.
So you see, that's another aspect that I didn't even think about.
The needles.
The machines that we even run.
The machines, bought machines, I can't find needles. Needles. So I don't want to bust anybody's bubble, but I've been in this game long enough to know that it's not just Eldorado. You know, we need to put a balance to it. We need to put a balance to it.
So before we have the Philippines of this world coming out of our markets, we have work to do.
We do have work to do. But is there a market? Absolutely. Are there opportunities? Absolutely. But nobody's going to touch your market if these things are not in place now. The infrastructure. What is the so you have a textile mill. How do I ship it out? How do I get it? How do I get from the mill to the main markets? How do I create a handshake there? Security, road network, air cargo. How do I do that? Okay. How do I create handshakes? So we have AFTA, but it's still very expensive to move things across West Africa. How do I create? Why is it cheaper for me to send things to US than I need to send things to Sierra Leone? I'm talking about realistically. It's cheaper for me, and I'm telling you, it's cheaper for me.
It's actually even cheaper to travel out than to travel.
Do you understand? And I've had to send a mail to my courier company, and they said, because there are no direct flights, they send it first to either Paris or Brussels. They now take it back down to West Africa. So I pay for that double leg. But there are flights every day to the US. Why? So it's a whole process that must be unpacked and laid bare. And we must be sincere with ourselves.
Well, it's been a very, very interesting conversation. I think as we plan to round up on this episode. One of the things we've delved in your journey, the business of fashion and obviously the industry aspect. So if someone is looking into the fashion industry now and is trying to start out today, or is in the industry and they are trying to grow, they're like, I'm trying to make this thing make sense. What advice would you give to them?
I'll say first and foremost, be sure that it's fashion you want to do, and before you be sure that you want to be in for the long haul. 2, what area of fashion? So people tell me, oh, I want to do fashion. I said, what area? They say fashion. I said, no, fashion is wide. You want to do men, you want to do female, you want to do both, you want to do underwear, you want to do kids. Each one is wide enough to sustain you. So be specific. You want to do corporate? You understand? Each one is huge. It's mammoth on their own. Okay, that's 1. 2, get business education, because running a fashion business is just like running any other business. The fundamentals will be the fundamentals.
Yeah, human beings. Money, raw material.
Yeah, that's it. The fundamentals will be the fundamentals. And are you looking at just the glam, or you are really looking to do the hard work? These are questions that nobody can answer for you. You need to be sincere to yourself. And if possible, get mentoring from somebody who is already in the industry, so that you save yourself many sorrows. Then of course, which are the artisans you're going to work with? How well do you know them? What are the incentives? What's your plan to retain them? Those are the questions that you must answer. It's not just about having brilliant ideas.
But these artisans can be witchcraft. So.
It's what it is. It's what it is. And I've just told you why. It's garbage in, garbage out. So there's no vocational training institute where this is another handshake that needs to happen between government saying, you know what, we're going to produce artisans for the industry and you can come and take them. You see football academies having football clubs having academies. You get why? Because the truth of the matter is you can't always poach players. But let's be able to produce, and we can absorb some and can sell some. Yeah, but it costs money.
So how do you manage the madness that comes with them?
The madness that comes with them. So first and foremost, you have to manage yourself. No, I'm serious. You first of all have to have the capacity to manage yourself, your temperament, your mental space is very important. Because a lot of times people don't even understand themselves. So if you don't understand yourself, you can't even understand somebody else. That's 1. 2, now understand the mindset the tailor is coming with. What has driven him to learn the craft he's learned is money. So he's not paying allegiance to you. He doesn't care about your brand and all your high-sounding words. He wants his money. So ensure that that's not negotiable. Pay him as I went you. You understand? A workman is worthy of his wages. That's what the Bible says. So you pay him as I went you. Pay him his wage. Pay him a fair wage, a decent wage. He's first and foremost a human being. Treat him as such. I hear some nasty reports sometimes. Owners punching their tailors. Yeah. I know they can get on your last note, but you must be in control of yourself. Irrespective of whatever provocation, whatever the person may have done to provoke you, you must be in control. I think it's very important. Yeah, it's upsetting, but that's why I say you even need to know yourself. Know thyself. Do you have what it takes? Do you have the staying power? It's not just about the lights and camera and action. There's a lot of behind the scenes, and it's dirty, and it's a lot of work.
That's a lot. But I've seen you grow Baldon and maintain clientele that have grown with you. What's the secret formula to that?
So it still goes back to the basics. You never take things for granted. The fact that he's your friend doesn't mean you should delay or disappoint him and use an excuse. You give him an excuse the first time, second time, third time he will stop coming. He will still be your friend, but he'll stop patronizing you.
Sometimes they'll not tell you so.
Yeah, they'll not tell you because they want to be civil. Then you must always seek to improve, because customers will be customers. Customers are like water. They keep on flowing. And they'll test other brands, they'll test other, when they go to a place, another place that is comfortable, maybe in terms of the reception, maybe in terms of the designs, maybe in terms of the turnaround time of delivery, they will stay there. So always have a unique selling point. Why would they come to you? There must be something that makes people come. I tell my tailors, I tell my staff, I say, our average customer has 3 tailors. They have the young guy that has harassed them maybe in church, mosque, they want to support. They have the guy that is sales for them. He's not expensive in quotes now, but he doesn't always get it right. So things that they feel are not really precious to them, Ashebi and all that, they just give it to him. And they have the ones that, it must not go wrong. I spent too much money, or I'm going for a high octane event. Yes. It must not go wrong, and I need it in time. They come to the Baldon. So it's what it is. So you must have your USP, and you can't get angry. Do you understand? You shouldn't get angry. It should spur you to know that, okay, it's a big market, it's a wide market. This is where I'm playing, and I want to play very well there.
Wow. Okay, so what should we expect from you? What are you looking at? You've grown, Baldon.
There are a lot of things we're hoping to do. One of the things is to have retail stores where people can just, so you don't really have to see the tailor. I think for me, I've preached this, I also want to walk it, whereby you don't have to, you can just walk in. Things are already existing, you can pick and you can go. So like I said, Zara is one model I've really admired. It can be a bit challenging and daunting, especially in this climate, but I think it's achievable. We'll do it at our own level. Create retail spaces where people can come, pick up nice fashionable pieces that are fairly priced, and hoping to take it from there and it gains traction around the city of Abuja.
What about, do you ever see African expansion?
Yes, African expansion is something on the horizon, but we also are being careful. You need to get it right. Logistics must be right. It must be right. Logistics is still a bit of a nightmare moving things around Africa. Yes. So until I crack that nut, I'm still looking at it. Some people have been able to crack it, but I'm looking at it. Because you want to be able to. So it's easy for me to ship my things from Europe, from China to.
So should you just rather just do business in those markets then, since you just do in Europe and China?
So are my Nigerians there that will buy?
And Nigerians are in America,
So Nigerians are there. Do they give me the aggregate purchase that I will need to sustain the business? Do you get my point? So Nigerians are there.
The aggregates, yeah.
Yes, it's very important. The numbers are very important. How many Nigerians?
Not just one-off purchases.
I don't want one-off purchases. I don't want only summer purchases. It must be year-round, because there are taxes, there are human resources, there's minimum amount you must pay per hour, for your staffs. There are strict labor laws, and especially you coming as a foreign brand.
They might use your eye to see.
So you see, these things all sound nice, but you must drill down as an entrepreneur, and it must make sense. Must make sense.
Wow, thank you very much.
It's been an absolute pleasure.
Mr. Adedoyin Balogun, the founder, creative director, and
Mr. Afi.
Thank you so much, sir.
It's been a pleasure.
I really enjoyed this conversation. You went deep.
Because it's what I live. It's not a farce. I've not been in this thing as a hand-me-down. This is what I've done for a living. So if I don't know this, and it's not about reading a book, it's the life I've lived. I seek to know so I can be better.
So, but one final question, and I think people ask this question a lot. When people see people from the fashion space make money, and I asked this also to the last fashion designer I brought on it, and I would like your response to it. As you just were speaking, I really want to hear your perspective or your comment on it. Let me not say perspective, your comment on it. The question is, people see successful fashion designers and say they are doing money laundering. What do you have to say to that?
So it depends on what you mean by successful.
Well, I should say financially successful, like people that have made money.
The truth of the matter is there's money in this business. You don't need to launder. You don't need to do anything. There's money in this business if you get the principles right. And like I tell people, there's also an element of time. All right. So let us do the maths, because I like being practical. Let's assume, for the sake of the discussion, you have 200 million people.
Mm-hmm.
All right. And out of that 200 million people, you are privileged to serve 0.0000. Let's, for the sake of ease, you are privileged to serve 5,000 of them.
5,000
of them.
Okay.
And out of the 5,000 on a monthly, you're able to service 500 of them.
Okay, let me do 500.
500 of them, you're able to make a spread, plus or minus, depending on the articles they're making. They're able to do an average spend of, let's say 500,000.
Okay.
What does that give you?
500 times 500,000. That's 250 million.
That's a month.
Let's times it by 12. That's 3 billion.
So they take off now. So let's assume you remove. Let's assume you divide that into 3, and you remove your running costs for one part, and you remove your overheads for another part. Your profit
1 billion. And then
so you can also scale it down to smaller figures, some numbers of 100 to 50. So there is money. It's not as there's no money. Do you understand? There's money.
Thank you very much.
What you do with it
is
now, and do you have the capacity? So we talk about 500. Do you have the capacity to make the 500 articles? Do you have the network to bring these 500 people to you on a regular? Aha. So everything is not
money
shrouded in mystery and money laundering.
I think the challenge is that maybe people don't just have clarity.
Well, yeah.
Yeah, I think it's called clothes.
But nobody has gone naked. Nobody has gone naked. Even the madman, they still find something to
go. Yes.
So it tells you that there's something there. Don't forget, going to Maslow's hierarchy of needs. Clothing, shelter, food remain the base, and the base always bigger than the apex.
That's true.
Always bigger. You can do it without your phone. You can't do it without clothes.
Thank you very much, Mr. V.
My pleasure.
Thank you for your time.
Thank you very much.
All right, guys, if you enjoyed this episode, do well to share, like, and subscribe. You know, when you share, like, and subscribe, it helps our channel's influence grow, and it affects also the engagements of people wanting to come on this platform and also share these stories and hear these stories. You know, so I appreciate you. That's a free thing that you can do for us, you know, because that will help our channel get greater authority and get this message to more people across Africa. Thank you for joining us on this episode, and I look forward to catching you in the next.